Welcome to Battle of the Ports and Sega's 1983 arcade hit, Up and Down. Up and Down is a vertically scrolling game that has the player controlling a purple dune buggy that resembles a Volkswagen Beetle. The buggy moves forward along a single lane path. Pressing up or down on the joystick causes the buggy to speed up or slow down. Pressing right or left causes the buggy to switch lanes at an intersection, and pressing the jump button causes the buggy to jump into the air. Jumping is required to avoid other cars on the road. The player can either jump all the way over them or land on them for points. To complete a round, the player must collect 10 coloured flags by running over them with the buggy. If the player passes the flag without picking it up, it will appear again later in the round. The roads feature inclines and descents that affect the buggy's speed, and bridges that must be jumped. The player loses a life whenever the buggy either collides with another vehicle without jumping on it, or jumps off the road and into the grass or water. The first port we are taking a look at is for the Apple II. Now surprisingly, this looks rather good. We can easily tell what game it is meant to be by just looking at it. The game is a little easier than the arcade as well, but unlike the arcade, I didn't notice the flags you missing, rearranging their position to make them more accessible. Sega released a port for the Atari 2600 in 1984 with jarring background music. According to Game Sound, an introduction to the history, theory and practice of video game music and sound design by Karen Collins, the arcade version's bluesy F-sharp minor groove was transformed into a very unsettling version based in C minor with a fluttering melodic second, because of the limitations of the 26000 sound hardware. Not only is the music awful, but so is how it plays. Quite often, Atari 2600 games, despite looking bad, do offer some reasonable gameplay. Not in this title. The speed controls are very sensitive, and often it's difficult to even know which part of the pixel mess on screen is actually the road. ColecoVision next with a reasonably good port. In fact, I'd say it's also the best looking one so far. If there was one thing to complain about, it would be that the jump is a little floaty, but besides that, this is a pretty solid port. Out of the typical 8-bit home micros in Europe, only the Commodore 64 got a port of Up and Down, and it's not a bad one at that. As to be expected with the C64, we have nice smooth scrolling, which does make a change after watching the last few ports. The audio is rather weak, but then again, the arcade original was nothing amazing. I do find that some of the card placements can be rather cheap though, giving very little chance of survival, and the short draw distance doesn't help either. Still, at least it's not a totally broken mess, which is a miracle considering US Gold published this one. Finally, we have a port that not many people know about. Up and Down is actually on the Saturn, as part of the Sega Memorial Collection Volume 1. This is not emulation of the arcade ROM, but an actual port. It's pretty much arcade perfect and not only gives us the standard mode, but also a Tate mode for those who are able to turn their TV on its side. How about that for catering for the niche select few? And let's take a look at all those versions of Up and Down running side by side.